Hey guys, today's video is a little bit different. I honestly woke up and I knew that I wanted to film a video, but I wasn't sure what I wanted to film and what I wanted to say, and I sat down and I thought about it for a long time and I realized that this is the one I was meant to make today. And honestly, the title says it all. The question of who am I without my eating disorder is a question that I know so many people fear. And I was definitely one of those people as well, and I still am to an extent, but that's what I wanted to talk about today. This question honestly used to terrify me. It really, really scared me because I didn't know who I was. I didn't feel like I had any meaning or purpose because every waking moment I spent thinking about my eating disorder. I would spend probably 99% of every single day thinking about it. It would be the last thing I would think about before I fell asleep, and it would be the first thing I thought about when I opened my eyes in the morning. To be honest with you, I felt like if I lost my eating disorder, or if I tried to recover, I felt like I would lose who I was, because I truly believed that everything that I was and everything that I had become was my eating disorder. I didn't even feel like a person anymore. I just felt like this being that my sole purpose was to give my all, my 100% to this eating disorder. At the start, I didn't even like to think about recovery because I knew that thinking about recovery meant that at some point I would have to give up my eating disorder, and it wasn't something that I could even imagine doing because I felt like I would be giving up myself. I knew that for me, recovery meant that I would have to figure out who I was without this eating disorder. And that was just the most terrifying thing I could think about doing. It would mean trying to remember who I was before my eating disorder. And it would also mean trying to take the bits of myself that I liked and then combining it with the person that I wanted to become. And that honestly just seemed like something I couldn't handle. To let go of your eating disorder honestly feels like not only are you letting go of yourself, but you feel like you're letting go of the only thing that has ever understood you. And that might sound so crazy to some people, but that's the reality. You imagine losing a parent or losing a best friend or losing the thing that means the most to you in this world. And that's what it feels like at the thought of letting go of an eating disorder. You feel like you're letting go of the only thing that you know you can rely on. When things are hard in life and you have nowhere to turn to, your eating disorder will always be there for you. And so you feel like you're letting go of the one thing that holds you together, when in reality it's the one thing that's breaking you apart. I knew that letting go of my eating disorder would be the hardest thing that I would ever attempt to do, and I couldn't even imagine starting recovery. But when I decided to recover, or at least try to recover, I knew that it was going to be the hardest thing that I would ever attempt, and I honestly didn't know if I could do it. There was a part of me deep down that always believed one day I would be truly and honestly free from it, but I had no idea how to start and I didn't know what to do. So I did the only thing I knew I could do, and that was I promised myself that all I would do was try. I didn't know if I would honestly make it to being a fully recovered person, but I promised myself I would try my damn hardest. When I first started my recovery, I knew that I couldn't do it alone, and I knew that I would have to find strength from somewhere else because I just wasn't strong enough. The thought alone of recovery petrified me, and I knew that I would not be able to even take the smallest step unless I had some help behind me. The places that I turned to my sister, who is someone who from the very beginning has always been there, and she was the most incredible support you could ever see in someone. And I also turned to God, and I know that not everyone believes in God. I know lots of people do, but lots of people don't, and that's okay. You don't have to believe in God. You can believe in whatever will give you the most strength. There are so many things out there that you may not have even heard of, and when you hear of it, it might just be the thing for you. And for me, I do believe that God kind of works through multiple ways, because not everyone is just going to believe that there is one God. So for me, I believe that God works in multiple ways to kind of bring you to the place that you're supposed to be. And so for me, most of my strength came from my sister and from God in what I believe. I'm not going to lie to you, when I first was in the beginning of my recovery, I would talk to Beck all the time and I would pray all the time, and just in day to day and week to week, I just felt like I was getting absolutely nowhere. I felt like I couldn't do the things that I knew deep down I needed to do. And I realize now it's because I was always trying to take bigger steps than what I could handle. The crazy thing is though, looking back over those years, I realized that when I felt like I was getting nowhere day to day, I actually was doing so much. And it would be so hard because at the start I cried probably more than ever through my recovery journey. It was the start that it was definitely the hardest, but I kind of take a step back now and I realize that that's just like everything in life. When you first start something new, it's the beginning that is the hardest. It's making yourself try something new that you're not used to, and it is so difficult. But over time, the more you do it, the more you realize you're actually doing more than you realize. The thing that I always used to tell myself was that practice makes perfect. And I know that that is such a cliche thing, and you probably just want to like reach through the camera and just strangle me just a little bit for being so cliche. But honestly, it's impossible for you to practice something over and over again and never get better at it. It's just not possible. So I knew with my recovery that all I had to do was keep going, and I knew that one day it was going to get easier. It just had to, because there was no way I could keep trying so hard and just never get anywhere. Something else that I did that a lot of people might actually think is really crazy is at the start, I truly didn't know if recovery was something that I could do. And I had to do everything possible to make myself keep trying. So something that I did was I actually told myself that I was allowed to go back to my eating disorder. I told myself that, look, if this doesn't work, I will try my damn hardest for a year or for 2 years. And I wasn't saying that I would give it my all every single day. I was just saying that I wouldn't let go of the thought of recovery. And I said, if I do this for a year or I do this for 2 and nothing happens, nothing changes, and I'm not even slightly happier, then I give myself permission to go back to my eating disorder. Because I knew in giving myself permission, it would quieten that voice in my head. Because the more you push against something, the more it's going to push back. So I actually tried to work with my mind and I said, look, I'm going to do this, but I'm not going to let you go 100%. I'm just going to change a few things. I'm just going to try a couple of new things, but I'm going to hold on to you. And in giving myself that permission, I actually felt so much more free, because I realized that I could do these things and still have the eating disorder, and I could do both. And over time, the more I did those things, the more I let go of my eating disorder. So over the months of recovery, I realized that I was beginning to like doing things more, and I was beginning to find things that I actually genuinely enjoyed. And just like a child, I learned what my likes and what my dislikes were. I felt like I was learning how to live all over again. And in return from that, I began to realize what kind of person I was. And I realized that I was someone with a personality. I had things that I loved to get excited about, and I had things that would make me passionately annoyed. And it was everything that I found so exciting. At the start, I remember there were a couple times with my sister where I would find something and I would just, I would get so riled up and I'd be like, just so angry about this thing that I heard on the TV. And then I would start laughing because I realized that I found something that wasn't related to my eating disorder that I wanted to talk about, that I wanted to get passionate about, whether it was in a happy way or a way of frustration. It would make me laugh because I realized that this other thing in my life is something I want to talk about. It's something else that I want to think about. And my eating disorder just naturally over time begun to take second place, and everything else begun to take my priority. I'm not going to pretend like it wasn't hard. It was hard, and that's why I always like to say over the weeks and over the months, because it wasn't just like in 2 weeks I learned how to do something. It was months, and it's been years now, and I'm still learning and I'm still figuring out exactly who I am. I got to a place where I realized that I was actually someone. And I was a someone with a personality. I was a someone who had likes and dislikes. I was someone who genuinely loved unconditionally. And the biggest thing that began to happen over time was I genuinely began to become happy. And that might sound so crazy to some people because I thought I was happy with my eating disorder. I knew that I wasn't. Are you coming up on the bed? Do you want to come up? Come on, come here. Hello, baby. Hello. Hi, Angel. I knew that even though I didn't want to admit it to myself, this thing that had taken over my life wasn't a good thing. But it was also something that I couldn't let go of because it was my comfort and it was my crutch when things went wrong. But I think that's why also the next thing I can't fully describe to you, but that feeling of realizing that I was becoming someone. I wasn't just a person with an eating disorder. My eating disorder wasn't the only thing I could do. It wasn't the only thing I could be really good at. There were other things in life that I enjoyed and I could be good at them just because I loved them. And honestly, it was the most beautiful and emotional thing to realize that I was becoming just someone. And the crazy thing is that I've begun to realize that I could be a real person without my eating disorder, and that I was someone who had potential, and I was someone who also had a life that was worth living. And I can't really describe what that feels like because I spent so many years of my life feeling so trapped, feeling like I had no purpose, and feeling like there was no reason for me to recover because I thought if I recover, if I let go of my eating disorder, I'll have nothing. And I can't explain to you the emotion that comes with realizing that that is not true at all. It almost feels like your whole life you've been told a lie. And it's the worst lie you could ever imagine. And it kept you trapped and it kept you from reaching out and trying new things. And then finally one day someone takes the blindfold away from your eyes. And even though you realize you've been lied to, you suddenly realize that there's a life out there that is so beautiful and so worth living. And you just can't believe it. You can't actually fathom what that feels like. But it's the most exciting and beautiful thing. And I never ever thought that that was possible. And so today I really wanted to make this video because I just felt like it needed to be said. I felt like this is something I would have loved to hear years ago. I don't know if I would have 100% believed it. And I don't know if you will either. But I still felt like I had to say it because it is so true and I will never lie. Not about this. I don't think I'll lie about anything actually, not on this channel because this channel is about me being too honest. Recovery doesn't always mean that you're going to be super sick and then one day you're going to be recovered, and once you're recovered your life will get better. It's not how recovery works, and it's what I used to believe, but it's so far from the truth because you can begin to be someone with an eating disorder who has an incredible life, because that's the person I've become. I'm still dealing with bulimia. I still have episodes of binging and purging, but I have more of a life now than I ever have. And I can't tell you what that feels like. And I can't tell you what it feels like also to have the strength to sit here and tell whoever's watching this video. I can't promise you that your recovery journey is going to be easy at the start. And I will never make a promise that I can't keep. But what I can promise is that it will get easier. And I know everyone says that, but you have to tell yourself that it's impossible not to get better at something that you practice. Because I guarantee if you think of any other scenario, imagine if you ran every day. There's no way that you wouldn't be able to run further. If you painted every day, there's no way that you wouldn't become a better painter. If you keep trying at recovery, there's no way that it's not going to get easier. And that's what I can promise you. So I really hope that you enjoyed this video today. It wasn't planned, it was on the spot, but it's something like I felt like I had to talk about. And I really, really hope that this video reaches someone and that something I've said, even if it's just one sentence, I just hope that it sticks with you and it gives you hope. I hope it's something that you can think about one day when you're feeling at your worst. And I hope it's something that you can come back to, because that's all that I really want. I really just want to help someone. I love you guys so, so much, and I really hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope I see you in my next one. Bye guys.